Tito from District 59.
Thank you. All right, guys. I'm sure I've probably been in business half the time a lot of you guys have been. And I think something that we do, I have two of my staff members here, Rocio and Marcella up there. Rocio just got licensed a couple of months ago, and she's done 10 policies so far. You know,
Life license, you mean? Yeah.
yeah, life license about 2 months ago, and then she's done 10 policies so far. And we don't do anything different, right? We just do it consistently. You know, and I don't think I'm going to share anything you guys don't already know. I go to trainings like this all the time just because it's always good to like hear it again, and then start doing it, right? Because we stopped, you know, we're like, hey, that worked, and it was so good, and then we stop doing it, and then we're like, oh, let me redo it. So you have to come to things like this, hear other agents, go to the agents conference, listen into other agents, see what they're doing, and then restart again and redo what we were doing before. I'm gonna pass out a couple of things around. You guys can take one and pass them along. That's my life insurance brochure in Spanish that we have in our lobby. We give it to every client that comes in, whether they're coming in to add a car, to remove a car, to anything. They're coming to make a payment. We talk to them every time. When we look at where our sales are coming from, they're coming from all different places. Like 2 weeks ago, we did a family where we had insured the son, who's 28 years old, but the parents, we hadn't insured them. So I sat down with the dad and I said, hey, you only have one child. Something.
One more.
Oh gosh.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, you can take a picture of it and then. I said, do you want to give it to
Can
him?
we get this from the?
It's from Central
Yeah.
Warehouse, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's in
Okay.
Spanish. We give it to all our clients that come in. Yeah, you can. Yeah, we have a lot of in the office. And then, so I told the son, I said, hey, what happens when your parents pass? You're the only child. What's going to happen? So I sat all three of them together. And they're 62 years old, and we did an index policy for them. They didn't want a term policy. It's not beneficial for them, but we did an index policy for $75,000 on each of the parents. The son's paying for one, and the parents are paying for the other. We have one Asian kid who comes in and pays his parents' policies every single month, and he's been doing that for the last 5 years. Every single month he comes in with cash and he pays his parents' life insurance policy. And every month we would tell him, when are we doing yours? When are we doing yours? When are we doing yours? And like 6 months ago, he finally did his. And his parents sent him, and I always tell my clients about this kid. I'm like, this kid comes in, he's not a kid, I think he's a little bit older than I am. But I just think it's so cool that he pays his dad's policy, and there's 3 of them, but if something happens to the parent, who's going to be responsible for that? So what we do to consistently sell, and it's just setting goals, right? I said 1 year or 2 years ago, I said I want to do 100 issued and paid, and all my farmers friends looked at me weird. They're like, well, it's October, and how many policies do you have? Do you remember that one? Remember that year? I think we drove up to Reno together, remember?
I think you remember.
Yeah, Israel was telling me, what are you thinking? I mean, you gotta set some realistic goals. Like, you're not gonna get to 100. And I'm like, hey, way to go. I thought you were my friend. Giving me these, like you should help me out and build me up instead of being like, hey, Candice, be realistic. That's not attainable. Set attainable goals. And I'm like, I can do it, and I'm gonna do it. So we did. We ended at 105 that year. That was in 2016? No, 2015. And then it allowed me to get into President's Council. We did over 150 in premium, 50,000 in premium. And then last year we fell short. We did 101, but I was like, I need to beat my number from the year before, or at least get to 100. And it was just like, well, how am I going to do it? And where are we going to get these clients? And talking to my team, it's like, let's just set appointments. My mom works at my office, and she does all our FFR appointments for our Spanish-speaking clients. So she calls every single client, and she says, we need to do an annual review of your policy. So we're doing our FFRs, discount double check, and then making sure that there aren't any gaps, increasing coverage on their auto policy, adding umbrellas, and life insurance.
You call them every year to do an FFR every year?
Yeah, and some of them, we call them every 6 months, and they're like, oh, I already met with her, and then they come in still because they're like, well, let me check it out, and it's like, wait, you saw me 6 months ago, never seen me again. I'm like, yeah, but you didn't protect your family last 6 months, so is now a better time for you to insure your family? One thing that we're doing more, and we're doing it more consistently, is cross-selling. I started in the business at State Farm, and the way they trained me was, you sell all of it at once. The auto, the home, the umbrella, the life, from the beginning. You present it as a proposal and you do, this is all you're getting with us, and this is what you're getting with them. And they're like, oh, well, it's a little bit more. Yeah, but you have all of this. Well, what if I take those stuff? Well, you know, there's bundles, there's complicated, you're better off getting all of it. And people are like, oh, okay, I'll do it. Yesterday we had a gal that found us on Yelp and came in, and that's another thing, we asked for reviews. If you guys haven't been using the power of social media, we started because someone gave us a bad review. It was really sad and mad. But we only had like bad reviews on there. And I'll pass my business cards around if you guys don't have it. My cell phone's on there, text me. Pretty good at text messaging. Sometimes calls, I'm not that good at calling people back, but I'm really good at texting.
So you started on social media in reaction to some negative reviews.
Exactly. So we were like, oh, let's ask our clients to give us reviews. So now we have a really good font, like not super good, you know, but it's better. We have like, I think 20 reviews. And they're all positive. There's just like one person that said really bad, or two people. And this lady found us on Yelp yesterday. She comes into the office and she just wants auto insurance. She's coming from biking insurance. She just wants car insurance. She has like an older car. She wants full coverage on it, of course. So then we quote everything. We increase her limits from $1,535 to $100,300. We add the renters, we add the umbrella, and we say, okay, you're paying $120, you're going to pay $145, but you have renters and life insurance. Oh, okay. And then she starts the policy right there, and then this morning gets issued and paid, right, Rosie? We're like, hey, it was a simple policy. I'll pass these along so you guys can kind of see them. It's a simple term policy for $150,000. We did a $75,000 policy on her. She's a little bit overweight, so I just didn't want to go through the medical. And then we've been having some people that we do a value term and they don't do the medical. We have like 5 or 6 that they're like, these are not going to get issued by the end of the year. We shouldn't do value term. They're going to take forever to do the medical, right, Marcella? There's one guy that's like, 2 months ago, he still hasn't done his medical. So we do simple terms when we know people are not going to do the medical and they're going to be left without insurance, even though it's more expensive, right? The value term is cheaper. We know the person's going to procrastinate. If we know they're not going to go to the medical exam, it's better for them to have something than not have anything. So we do like $150,000 or $75,000 depending on the discount or their budget, right? Like, I don't want to go over $150 and you know that $150 is going to take them over. You just lower the coverage to $75. Who does simple terms here?
Tony does, yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever works.
What was that? Whatever works? Yeah. That's another thing, right? I always say, you know, how do you start the conversation, right? How do you start talking about it? Because if you start talking to someone and they make $20,000 a year and you're trying to sell them a variable policy, who's variable license?
Yeah, a couple.
If you're not variable license, go get your variable license. I know when I got it, I was like dragging along for 2 years and it was hard. It was hard to sit my butt down and study. But once I did, I was able to get to over 100 issued and paid, and I was able to get over on my premium that I could never imagine, right? And that those premiums are better. The protection is better for the customer because it's invested in the market, and what's the market doing right now? It's been crazy, right? It's on steroids, I think. I don't know how long this is going to continue, but it's wonderful, right? If you can do that for your client, right, and you tell them, like, it's going to go up and down. You just have to be young enough to go through the ups and downs of the market. But if you're not variable license, you know, I know there's a bonus right now to get variable license. That'll help you be able to help your clients a lot better. So where was I going with that?
Oh, you're talking about converting the people that procrastinate to simple terms.
To simple terms, right. And then right now we're doing a lot of a lot of value term conversions. I think this year we did like 6 or 7 that we just did a value term last year. And then now we do FFRs and now we're like, hey, are you ready to convert it now? So anyone that walks into our office, we're talking about life insurance. I get on my sister's case sometimes because she works at my office. I'm like, you're answering so many calls, you talk to them about life insurance? If you only talk to everybody about life insurance, we would do 300 policies a year. Because it's that person that answers the phone. Who's answering the phones at your office the most? That person should be asking every single person. When clients are like, you guys told me 10 times, can you please stop telling me? I'm like, I'm just doing my job. If you say no, I'm just doing my job. You know, we wanna make sure that we've been good to you and your family. We wanna make sure that we offered it to you, that if, you know, something bad happens, you know, we did our job. Same with coverage, right? Same with, hey, 100, 300, adding umbrellas, hey, I'm just offering it to you. You make the decision. You make the choice of how you wanna protect yourself. You wanna protect yourself at 15, 30, 10, hey, don't come yelling at me when you get into a car accident and you don't have enough coverage. I had a client who got deported like earlier this year because he hit a Tesla, and he owns a business, and he, you know, had only 25,000. He originally had $1 million, but he lowered it all the way down to 25,000 one month. And I don't know how long it was that way, but he hit a Tesla and $80,000 in damages. He tried to file for bankruptcy and wash his hands because farmers only paid 25,000, and the guy called INS on him, and he got deported.
Bad outcome.
Very bad outcome, right? And he owns a business. They own two businesses. His wife owns a business and he owns a business, right? It's like, why would you be driving around with low coverage? So it's just about, you know, we talk to our clients about so many different things, and then at the end you're like, life insurance, do you want life insurance when they're ready to walk out the door? It's like, you should start in the beginning, the minute that they walk into the office. The reason why we're meeting today is to talk about life insurance. Sometimes we are around the bush. I know, who listened to Lee or Nguyen Lee from Texas? Who listened to him, this webinar? No? They kept pushing it, and then the hurricane happened, and then they kept pushing it.
The number one life agent in the company had a webinar last month after the hurricane was over. It was scheduled during the hurricane, they canceled it. But he's in what, Houston?
Houston, yeah.
Houston, yeah.
And he's done, I think he's close to 200 issued and paid, and I think he's over like 250, or no, 350 in premium, 350,000 in premium. And he said that, you know, one of the things that he was saying that was very valuable that I thought, and maybe you guys can help me because you guys were on the webinar. He said that sometimes we go in there and we're like, oh no, I'm not trying to sell you anything, you know, I'm just here to talk, right? And it's like, no, you're not. Why do you lie to people? That's what he said. He's like, I used to go into a presentation, whether it was with a commercial client or someone. I don't want to sell you anything. I just want to talk to you about your insurance. It's like, you're not there to talk. We're salespeople, right? We're professional insurance agents, and we want to talk about selling. I'm there to sell something. I'm not there to just say hello, right? So if you're upfront to your customers and you say, I'm here to sell you life insurance, then there's no surprise. Sometimes we're like, oh, come in for this or come in for that. It's like, no, we're coming in for life insurance. And then when they come into the office, they're not surprised of why they're there. Who's that upfront with their customers? Who tells them straight up, hey, we're gonna get you life insurance today, right? No one? Why don't you do it? Why are you that upfront with your customers in terms of life insurance?
Me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Excuse me.
I really talk about life insurance when they come to my office, when I pick up their calls.
Okay.
And unfortunately, most of them say no. They
Yeah.
want to take life, yeah.
Yeah.
They do not trust life, I don't know why.
Right. But you're pretty straightforward about it when you ask them. And so he said that most of us wouldn't be, and that when you do change that to say, hey, we're here to make sure we protect your family, then there's no like, hey, you know, do you want life insurance? Yeah.
Would you say your book of business is more Hispanic, Latino community?
No.
Are you selling more to that community than others?
Yeah, maybe, yeah. We have a lot of Hispanic last names that we do. Probably 80-20. We did an Indian family about 2 months ago, and I think they gave us like 50,000 in premium for a family of 4. It just really depends, right? And what I was gonna say earlier was, you have to go based on the shoe size of the person or what they make a year. So I'm really upfront, and sometimes I tell Rocio, be upfront, find out how much they make.
That's your main objective, is probably premium. Like, do you have any of the questions they object, or?
It's just like fact finding and finding out more about your customer, right? If you don't know how much money they make, you can't offer them something really small or something really big because they'll be turned off, right? So if, you know, I start off with how much money do you make? Man, people, and sometimes Rocio gets like, oh my God, that question's just too personal. I'm like, you know, if you go to the shoe store, and what's the first question they ask you? What's your shoe size? They're not gonna go up to the back and try to find your shoe without knowing your shoe size. So if we're trying to sell life insurance, we don't know what policy to offer this client if we don't know how much money they make. Right, because if they make $100,000 and you want to sell them a $12 a month policy, well, you're leaving a lot of money on the table, and you're not protecting them right, because if they pass away, then their family isn't going to be able to replace their income with $150,000, right? So I always ask how much money they make, right? Because if my customer makes, $30,000 a year, I know that I'm not going to be offering them a policy that's $1,000 a month, because they can't afford that, right? So I always ask what they make a year, and we will write policies from $12 a month all the way to $1,200 a month. So it just depends on what the customer's needs are. One thing that we use is this one. I like to use this one. I don't know if you guys use it, but you guys can take the numbers in the bottom for the Spanish-speaking agents. And it's pretty easy, right? Because you don't want to go through a long explanation about that's with your Spanish speaking. It's all in Spanish. I bought pretty much Spanish stuff. For my higher income earners, I give them this book. Who's seen the Power of Zero?
I think Dave gave us that one.
Did you read it?
The beginning of it.
It's so powerful when you look at the history of taxation, and when you show this to your customers, they're like, whoa, because people forget that 20 years ago people were paying 60-70% in taxes, or maybe 30 years ago. But I give this to the higher earner clients, and then we get more premium out of it. I bought a box, and I have them in my office. I just, when they say no, I'm like, hey, read this book, and then they usually come back and they want to give me a lot of money. So this is a variable policy. Who else has read it? Has anyone else read it? Yeah? Did you find it pretty?
Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah? Were you able to sell a lot of policies?
Yeah, the taxation in the old days,
Mm-hmm.
and just paying 0 taxes in retirement. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pass it along if you guys want to take a picture of it, or if you haven't read it, maybe you guys can buy it on Amazon. I think it's like less than $10. It's not.
The whole premise of that book, and it's written by a life insurance agent, not a farmer's agent, is that you should have, there are 3 different types of tax accounts. Tax Me Now account, which is your income. You're going to pay tax on April 15th. Everybody has that. Tax Me Later accounts, that's your IRAs and your 401ks. You're going to pay tax later when you pull the money out of those accounts. But they are taxable. And then there's a Tax Me Never account. And how many of you have money in Tax Me Never accounts? Roth IRA is a Tax Me Never account. Life insurance policies are Tax Me Never accounts. And he makes the point that 95% of the members of the United States Congress, and literally 98% of all CEOs in America have these Tax Me Never accounts. And they overfund life insurance policies to build up savings inside a life policy, and they can take the money out at retirement tax-free. And you really need to have all 3 accounts. Really, you want to have as few Tax Me Later accounts, and one of the things he recommends is rolling your 401ks or your IRAs when you retire into Roth IRAs, pay the tax up front. Why? The federal government is on the march to raise income taxes. It's already gone up in the last 2 years from 35% to 39% in the top marginal tax rate. When I was born, 1946, you know what the marginal tax rate was for rich people? 96%, because they were funding a war. All the people like the Bill Gateses and the engineers of the world were paying 96% of their top dollar in taxes. And then the government lowered the taxes down, and now we're on a rise to go back up. And his point is you need to get your money out of your IRA accounts into tax-free accounts like life insurance, because soon the tax is going to go 44, 45, 46, 50. It's going to go up over the next 20 years just to pay for all the stuff the government's already done. So that's the whole idea of that. And he really promotes indexed universal life and variable universal life products as a way to save money for your retirement and then get it out tax-free.
So our index is number 1. It doesn't have tax at all, but Roths actually do. What you don't get taxed on is the fact that you put in money. You put in $10 in the whole lifetime. When you start pulling it out, you get taxed on it. But whatever grows from that $10 on forward, at ordinary tax per year, you do get taxed on. So it's kind of a myth. People say it's tax-free, but it's not. I researched it because I was gonna invest in one. I said, oh, this is a great idea, tax-free. But the more I looked into it, I found more information. I go, wait a minute, it's not tax-free. So the money you put in, you already pay taxes on it. You're not gonna get taxed on it. But as soon as you start withdrawing, as soon as that depletes, say you have $1 million, you deplete per month, whatever, 100,000, you got 10 years worth of tax-free money because that's your own money you put in already. But as soon as the money you put in, as soon as the money that grew from that, say grew 2 million from that, you start pulling that money, get to that point where you're withdrawing that money gets taxed because you grew. Capital gains tax, basically, or income taxes per the year. So anything that grows, make interest on and make money on, like stocks, you get taxed. Doesn't matter. So Roth are not tax-free. Only the money you put in and take out at the time per year, until that depletes, so after time, you don't get taxed, obviously. But after that, whatever's growth, when you pull that money that's growing, growth on it, then you will.
Yeah,
So
that's why life
that misconception.
insurance, yeah.
Life insurance is number one.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
Until something happens, but that's what I tell people, that that's the only thing we have.
It's always tax-free no matter what, right? So
The death benefit's always tax-free, and the money you borrow out, as long as the policy stays in force, then when you pass, all the money you took out of it is tax-free.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
Life is orange.
Yeah, so that's what the power of zero is booked, and that, so you bought a whole case of them and you just hand them to
Right,
clients?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I just, whoever, based on how much money they make, right, I don't want to give it to someone who can't really save a whole lot of money. But I offer both of them to everyone. I say, here's our permanent policy, here's our term policy. Maybe you want to start here, and then in the future, when your kids are grown and gone and you don't have to be paying for that, you can convert it into a permanent policy. I know Matt O'Brien, he's out of Santa Cruz. He's done so much just from conversions. I think he's been an agent for 25, 30 years. And he just wrote term policies, all through his earlier years. And now he's just converting all of them into permanent policies. And I think he's over $250,000 in premium this year and last year and the year before. Because he's just been converting all of those policies, right? So it's just planting seeds, right? Whether you're planting the seed and you're having that conversation with someone and they blow you off then, and then something happens in their life where someone passed away and they didn't have money for their funeral, they had to go to a funding account, or, people passed away in our lives, maybe not like close to us, but, friends of friends or someone we know, and we're like, oh God, and then, oh yeah, my agent talked about life insurance, I said no. Maybe next time I see her, I'll take her a little bit more serious. Maybe they won't do it then, but next time you see that they see you again or something happens in their life, they're gonna think of you again. But if you've never talked about it, if you never even mentioned it to them, if they don't even know you offer life insurance, if they know you're just their car insurance agent or their home insurance agent or just their commercial agent, you never talked about life, then they're gonna go buy it from WFG because they're closing a lot of life insurance deals. But why don't you take that sale? Why don't, if you've already planted that seed and they know that you offer life insurance, why wouldn't they buy it from you, right? They already have their car insurance with you. We always talk about discounts, right? We always say, hey, you know what, if your auto's gonna go down, $10, and this is $20, but it's only really costing you $10. It's your family, protecting your family that important that, you're spending $10 on a cup of coffee that you wouldn't, we always hear that one, right, like the cup of coffee. The script that Nguyen Lee did on his webinar, I can email it to you. I emailed it to my district, but I can email it to all of you. And basically the way that he initiates a conversation, and he initiates it with every single call, every single person that calls his office. And his staff will say, I'd like to take a moment to thank you for your business and let you know we appreciate you and your family. I have a quick question for you. I'm gonna name 3 things. What is the most important thing for you in your life? Your auto, your home, or your family? What's the most important thing for you? Your auto? Family. Right? Your family, right? Most people will say that, and then when you ask that question to your clients, we've tried it a lot. They're like, my car, ha ha ha, and then they like make a joke, and it's like, yes, sure, But most people will answer their family, and they say yes. Most people answer the same, their family. I see we're protecting your auto, your home, but what are you doing to protect your family? And then people are like, well, I've been wanting to talk to you about that. Or, hey, do you have some options for me? And now we can complete applications over the phone. What's the other 10 that you've done? How many did you do over the phone? Probably all of them. Probably 7, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, about 7. So, now we have that, right? But before we had to go meet with the person and sign the application. Now you can just do it all over the phone. Who's using e-sign? Who signs applications over the phone? We do. Yeah, it's powerful, I think. Kind of just, hey, you're not here, but let me fill out the application really quick for you, and then review it, sign it, send it back, you sign it, and then you get them to do the medical and you're done.
Yeah.
Right, because if you're selling car insurance all day long over the phone, it's like just add on the life insurance. So then he says, we do not have your family protected with life insurance. I'd like to set a time to review your options, does Monday at 10 work? And then you just set up the appointment, or you give if they're like, what do we do? We have a client like in LA or something. And we were talking to them about life insurance, White Eagle.
Yeah,
Sandra, yeah. And you just talk to them about life insurance, you email them the quotes, and then, you fill out the application over the phone. So if you're not using that so far, kind of like, sometimes you do, some people are like, oh, well, I want to meet with you and I want you to explain it over for me. I'm like, yeah, well, I don't even know if you're eligible. Let's make sure you pass the medical exam, because if you don't pass it, then, you're gonna know everything about life insurance, but you can't buy it if you're not eligible. I think we had like 6 or 7 declines so far in this last half of the year. So not a lot of people qualify. So, like young people, older people, anyone, you're like, whoa, I had 21-year-olds gal that got declined last year. And I was like, banking on her, being able to be insured because her mom and dad are insured with us, but she wasn't eligible. And I don't know why it was confidential, but they didn't even tell me.
Can you take us through your process, your step-by-step? You got a prospect calling in.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying about, let's see if you're eligible. So what's the process in your office, like step-by-step?
So if it's a new client, like I said yesterday, we just, we find out how much they're paying. We know what their coverages are, and then we'll do our auto quote. We'll add the, homeowner's discount or the renter's discount automatically from the get-go. I know California, we have like the lowest cross-sell percentage in the nation. And we don't even quote adding discounts. We don't even quote adding the multi-policy discounts. So we just add it on from the beginning, and then let's say the car was $100. We add $10 for renter's insurance, and then we add like another $20 for life insurance. So then we'll say, okay, it's gonna be $140 or $130. And then we go over the details with them. So that's what we do when it's a new client, when it's a new business. If it's an FFR, then I'll be like, okay, it looks like we have these coverages, it looks like we don't have life insurance. And I automatically go to the LifeNet and I print out those quotes. So I'll print out an index policy quote, and then I'll print out a term policy quote, and I just say which one's best for you.
So you're just loading everything up. Like they say, oh, I just want an auto quote, but you're putting in the renters, life. They get it and they say, whoa, I don't want this.
No, no, they know. Before we're doing the application, they know. They know what we're doing.
So you tell them, I'm gonna give you a
We're
quote
doing
on this.
auto, yeah, your auto has, towing and rental, you have, someone breaks into your car, you're covered, and if you pass away in that car accident, you're covered too. You have life insurance on there.
So you're giving them heads up, you're giving them for.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah, we're not just adding them like without them knowing, oh no. And making myself beneficiary, oh no. Oh no.
No, I'm just saying as just
That would be fun.
someone calling in, like prospect calling in, I just wanna know your steps, your
Mhm.
process from the call to the end of the thing. You're saying that you're giving them a quote, so okay, of course you're telling them, okay, I'm gonna give you a quote on this, this and that.
Mhm.
So you're sending them the, calculator, quick rater, okay, this is what it can be, your premium for life.
Mhm.
But let's set you up with a paramedical next, or what are you doing? Like, what's the
Mhm.
steps?
Well, like, for example, just yesterday we did that one, and I just wrote it down. I said, because she went to go get her odometer reading, when she came back, I just said it's gonna be 146. It includes auto, your renter's insurance, and your life insurance. And she's like, oh, well, what if I don't get life insurance? I'm like, well, the price is gonna be a little bit higher, and why would you protect your 1998, I forget what kind of car it was, car, and not protect yourself, right? I can guarantee you may never have a car accident. I may be sure, I might be right, but I can never say, oh, you're never gonna die, because we're all gonna die. We're all gonna go someday. We just don't know when or how. You wanna make sure you go and you're prepared and you leave those you love protected. But I think you want more like, what's the step, what's the, and every case is different, right? Every person's different. You just have to ask. You just have to say, hey, what are you doing for life insurance? Do you have a budget? Do you, there's something you wanna do? And if there's clients, there was a family that they've been our clients for 7-8 years, and every time I saw them, I would talk to them about life insurance. And then finally, a month ago, they decided to do it for both of us. I always tell my clients, it's a little bit of a white lie, Like I say, most of our clients, I say 85% of our clients have life insurance for both a husband and wife. You're the only person that doesn't have that. What are you doing wrong? People do not, I don't say it like that, but I say, you know, everybody's doing it. Why aren't you protecting those people you love? And people are like, oh yeah, people buy life insurance? Oh yeah, I don't want to be left out. You know, I think most people feel that way, right? We're like, oh, I'm a single dad, I don't have life insurance. Why, you know, what's wrong with me?